fortnight after the summer solstice, news filters down from North Fens that a Jotun force has crossed the border into Bregasland. It quickly becomes apparent that the army marches under the banner of the Bear Who Swims, the same army that struck into Liathavan in spring, then led the attack into Karaman before the summer solstice. They seem adept at driving into Imperial territory, especially undefended territory. This territory is not undefended, however. The Bregas beaters and household militias of Greywater are not enough to challenge the Jotun warriors by themselves, but there is magic at work in the northern fens and marshes. As they have done many times before, the Susivari Frost Coven of Wintermark have woven fog and water together to lay a powerful protective spell over North Fens and over Bregasland as a whole. The marshes are treacherous enough as it is, but under the guidance of the night magic unleashed there, they actively oppose the Jotun invaders, leading them astray, separating their warriors, and drawing them into precarious situations. At the same time, the magic supports and protects the scattered defenders of the Bregas households, hiding them with conveniently timed shrouds of mist or driving rain, or providing safe avenues of retreat that sink beneath the water before the Jotun can use them. It also rouses the rum beasts of the western marshes, from the giant marsh spiders that lurk beneath the surface of murky meres, to the drifting ghostlights that trick the unwary to their doom. All seem to focus their attention on the approaching Jotun. Furthermore, there are reports of strange creatures that are clearly not of mundane origin, figures that seem to coalesce out of the mist and darkness to strike at the flanks of Jotun scouts, great bat-like things with glowing amethyst eyes that strike from the night sky without warning, and pale, glowing hounds that warn of approaching invaders with ghostly howls. The Jotun flounder in the enchanted marshes of North Fens for a week or more, making no progress, harried by beasts and beaters, and subject to the cruel whims of the marshes themselves. If it had just been Bear Who Swims alone, it is unlikely they would have made much headway into Bregasland, and the enchantment on North Fens would most likely have forced them to retreat back into Narkist with their tails between their legs. But they are not alone. Just as it seems the invasion is going to amount to a whole lot of nothing, another 30,000 Jotun troops crash out of the west into North Fens. Following the scouts of the Bear Who Swims, they make straight for Greywater. While the magical force protecting the fens slows their advance, there are simply too many of them. The settlement falls within a week, and the Jotun spread out across the entire region. They give the stone at Fisher's Rock a wide berth, but the scattered households of the North Fens are quickly conquered by troops under the banner of the Southern Bear. The Jotun waste no time. As North Fens falls, they are already pressing south into Grey Fens. Away from the heart of the night magic that plagued their attack in the north, they find it significantly easier to navigate the grim meres and infrequent settlements. There are few Marcher inhabitants of the Grey Fens. Between the dead meres and the rum beasts, and the rumoured presence of a major Fenny tribe here, as well as the ever-present threat of adventurous Jotun champions seeking to make a name for themselves by raiding out of the Blutgern marshes of Hordaland, there are few Bregas to slow the Jotun advance. At first, there is little that villagers can do to stand against more than 30,000 Jotun who seem to have set aside their superstitious dislike of marshes, as they put aside their dread of deep forests when they invaded Liathavan all those years ago. Grey Fens falls, as did North Fens before it. As the autumn equinox draws near, the western borders of Bregasland are claimed by the Jotun. If it had not been for the foresight of the Susivari and the magical defences they had put in place, either Ottermire or the Rushes would likewise have fallen to the surprise attack of the Orcs, and the territory of Bregasland likewise. Their conquest is not entirely unopposed, however. The people of Ottery and Sallow put aside their internecine bickering to focus their attention on the threat from outside. They work with the townsfolk of Graven Rock to do whatever they can to impede the Orcs, and the magic loose in the marsh offers them what assistance it can. These are Marcher folk, and they do not give up land lightly. A number of the defiant Yo-folk make for Bill's Abbey, a monastery consisting of a small collection of wooden buildings, situating on what counts as a hill in Bregasland, on the edges of Ottermire. Here, the abbot warms hearts with rousing sermons of courage and drowns sorrows with a combination of strong Bregas spirits and powerful potions. The abbey monks are well known and well liked, not only among their fellow Bregas but across the marches. Their renown is partly for their extensive collection of tales of bolstering Bill, and partly for their skills as expert brewers and skilled apothecaries. The strong spirits brewed at Bill's Abbey are popular as far afield as to Sarto, and doses of elixir vitae, stamped with Bill's smiling face, the abbey's imprimatur, command a good price. The sensible thing to do would be to abandon the abbey and retreat in the face of the Jotun advance, but these folk are not minded to be sensible. Instead, they plan to make a defiant stand against the Jotun, to send a message across the marches, to think of bolstering Bill, and to see what their neighbours can do to help. It's a good time for such a gesture, following the announcement by the keeper of the breadbasket that they would spread the bounty of the breadbasket across Mittwold, Upwold and Bregasland to strengthen marcher traditions, coupled with the statement in the synod by Anna Perrin seeking to bring the community together so none is left a stranger and all can benefit from closer ties. If the Empire can demonstrate real commitment to these words by ensuring the abbey does not fall, then it will rally spirits across the marches. If that happens, then folk who are sick and tired of the Jotun threatening their lands will be ready to put aside their differences and take up arms to defend their neighbours. A common militia of yeomanry, the like of which has not been seen since the reign of Emperor James, would form up to take the battle to the Jotun. Such a force could never defeat the Jotun host by themselves, but they'd fight the Jotun for every inch of marshy soil, and would be an invaluable ally to any imperial army fighting in the marches. Everyone could play a role. Even some of the Mornwald orcs have offered to help, bringing victuals and essential supplies to the marchers fighting in Bregasland. And should the Marcher Synod make up its mind about the orcs' place in the nation, many more would likely be prepared to offer their aid. At present, their cause seems doomed. The Jotun forces are already perilously close to the monastery, and will likely overrun it any day soon. The Empire will need to move fast if they wish to save them. Two regions of Bregasland, Grey Fens and North Fens, are now under Jotun control. The territory remains imperial, but if another region is lost to the barbarians, the territory will fall. While it is possible for armies to travel from Westmarsh in Calavesa to North Fens, it is not possible to cross the Westmere into Ottermire. Imperial or Jotun forces will need to go through Mittwold if they wish to reach Ottermire or Calavesa Marsh. The Jotun domination of Grey Fens has significant implications for Liathaven. It is now not possible for Imperial armies to reach West Ranging or Westwood without going through the Jotun-controlled regions, or first creating a new beachhead in Liath's Ring or Liaven's Glen. There are major conjunctions available on both days of the summit that would allow the heroes of Anvil to travel via the Sentinel Gate to the lands at the bounds of Bill's Abbey in Ottermire. If heroes are able to defend the abbey against the approaching Jotun, then the monks will take news of the victory across the marches, encouraging everyone to whom they speak to take up arms and fight against this latest invasion.